Sometimes I'm stalking a little now. Noticing I'm feeling well. Give her a dolly, they laugh and cry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspire Africa podcast. This is a space where we spotlight the voices, the stories, the journeys of African women who are breaking the barriers, who are doing the impossible or what is deemed generally impossible. My name is Chidima, and I'm the host for today. And so excited to have you guys listening today. And today we're going to have a very real, honest conversation. As always, we try to keep it very real, very practical as our podcast so that you're able to learn something tangible when you're done listening. And the conversation we had today is going to, I think the inspiration of it came from a book, but it's titled Do Nice Girls Get the Corner Office? So we've heard about nice girls. Is it a bad thing to be nice? And then if that is so, is it a bad or good thing, whatever? And then do nice girls get the corner of it? So we're going to be talking about what it's like to be an African woman, essentially navigating the workspace, especially when you're not loud, you're not like outspoken, or if you're the assertive type or you're not the assertive type. So I know growing up, people have heard about like being nice. So what does that mean for us? So before we go further, to talk about this amazing topic, we have our two wonderful guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So for probably first of all, start with Linda and go about tell us a little bit about yourself and yeah, just take on the lead.
Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Ojima Linda. I am currently a master's student in international relations and cybersecurity here in Poland. I am also a finance analyst. I am an author. I've published a book. I published a book last year, Against the Tide. It's
Hmm.
on Amazon. It's everywhere. And currently working on two books. Hopefully towards the end of the year, I'll publish this Beginner's Guide to Financial Literacy and How Did We Get Here. So that's pretty much about myself.
Wow.
Hi,
No, I was just going
hi.
to say, I think Linda has done quite a lot. That's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool that you've written two books. That's awesome. I'm very happy. I'm sure you're going to have a lot to talk to us about today. So yeah, that's good. So over to you, Ruth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth. A Ugandan living in Poland, and I just completed my master's in business management. Currently working as a project manager in an IT infrastructure company, and yeah, it's my first time here, so let's see how it goes.
Welcome, Ruth. You guys are doing fantastic. What's happening in Poland? Everyone, is that where the next place is at? Should I move to Poland?
You better come.
Well, it's really nice to have you both here. And yes, Linda and Ruth are both first timers in our podcast. We hope that you're going to enjoy this conversation. So, first of all, we're going to start with losing up a little bit. So, how has your week been? Has there been like anything exciting or something you want to share with our audience? Just maybe one or two things. Have you done anything fun or not?
Well, nothing major per se. Mostly work, work, work. I have new projects I have to handle, and like I like to sometimes um be in the right headspace, stay away from work and school. So I like to just go on vacation. And I went to a
Hmm.
beautiful place this last weekend. Very interesting, good water park. Just went to just relax, away from work and just, be in the right headspace. And now
Hmm.
I'm back to reality. Work starts tomorrow. Yeah. Yay.
That's pretty cool. It's good to kind of get off once, and that's something I honestly should learn about myself. That's good. I'm happy that you're kind of finding the balance in between. That's great. Okay, Ruth.
Yeah, like we had a long weekend here in Poland, where we have the institution day, Constitution Day, something like that, and then Flag Day. So our weekend started on Thursday. So it's been a very long weekend, and we've been relaxing. So tomorrow it's back to business. I
Yeah.
can't lie, I'm nervous about Mondays, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Mondays are those days that you're like, oh my gosh, and how the weekend runs by so quickly. It's so crazy. Like it's really interesting. Well, I'm happy you guys had a very good weekend. I'm happy that you guys had a very good week. Mine was probably filled with a lot of work and maybe rest somewhere in between. So okay, so now we're getting to the main meat of today's conversation. I think probably I'll just start with it's been nice a career trap. Like I think that growing up as I won't say African women, but generally, oftentimes women are like you have to be a certain kind of person. And then you grow up to be that person, a nice girl. Like, is he a career trap? Or is there some form of like, would I say strength that comes in that? Maybe what do you even define as niceness in quotes?
I mean, from where we come from, like I say, I come from Uganda. Like we are raised to, be respectful, accommodating, submissive, and all that. But then when it comes to our workplace, this is taken as, like lack of, assertiveness, lack of potential to lead, lack
Hmm.
of being, when you're not loud or when you're not out there, when you don't put yourself out there, sometimes it's taken as like a weakness. Like you cannot lead, you can't take up, responsibilities and all that. So I think it's really not a good thing. But then when you're naturally a quiet person or an introvert, it
Hmm.
gets, challenging. So to me, maybe we need to also give a chance to the quiet ones and we see
Hmm.
how it, I don't know. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what you said is really true. Like our African culture and how it kind of trains us to be a certain kind of person and how that maybe doesn't necessarily translate to workplace culture. But yeah, before we go further, I don't know, Linda, do you have any experience about that? Like, based on your own work experience where you are, is it a career trap to be a nice girl?
Not really. So it's just like a general thing. The loudest ones in the room, they are always the ones being seen,
Mhm.
being listened to, and they're always it's just a general notion, by the way. So but then where I am here in Poland, it's not just about you being nice, it's about getting the work done. So or it's not about you being loud or nice, it's about getting the work done. So whether you're nice, whether you're loud, if you don't get the work done, you're not seen. So it doesn't really matter here. It doesn't really matter. Back
Yeah.
home, like Nigeria, where I'm from, of course, being loud shows that you can lead. You're smart. You're being proactive. I think that's the word to use. But here, it doesn't really matter. You can be the loudest, but you're not seen because you have no skills and you're not putting in the work. So yeah, for me
That's
that's
very
it.
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I think like I completely understand what you're saying about like not being would I say an empty box, right? So it's not necessarily the niceness or the lack of being nice that I would say gets one ahead in one's career, but then the content of what they have. So that's very interesting to also hear perspective from where you are. I think that maybe to also kind of dig deep into it, I would like to ask if you guys have ever felt like overlooked, maybe because you weren't the loudest person in the room. And just to piggyback off of what you said, what you both have said about, how oftentimes when you're not loud, you're not seen. So if you're someone who I would say kind of prefers to take the back space, you're not necessarily the loudest person, have you had any experience where you were overlooked because of that? And how did you address that if that's the case?
Yeah, actually, for me, I have. It wasn't really like big, but it happened that I'm not the loud person, to be honest. And in my team, it happened that I'm the only African in my team. And I am not really loud when it comes to, stepping up and do things and then be proactive and all that. But I get the job done. So at, at some point, people need to, there was a need where we needed to take some responsibilities, right? I knew if I was given the job, I was gonna do it. But then people had to, jump on and, I will do this, I'll do that, and then do the talking, right? Normally people do the talking, but then they don't really like do the job. So I was quiet waiting for what is left. That is
Mhm.
what I would take on. And then after it happened that everything was taken, and I was just there. I was the only one who didn't get a responsibility. Like it was kind of working on some documents, right? But then when I went on like a one-on-one with my manager, and he was like, I actually expected you to at least also stand up. I know, say something, take over without me allocating anything to you. And I'm like, to be honest, my performance has not really like been bad at all. That means I can do the job. So I'm always ready to do the job if it's given to me. But to him, it felt like I wasn't being proactive. I wasn't being, active and, stepping up to take over some responsibilities and all that. It kind of affects me. I feel it most of the times. I feel it that maybe I need to be loud and, be seen, because I see the ones that are loud and see are the ones that are seen, even when they are promoting. The ones that are all over the place are the ones that are actually promoted. So it is affecting me. I honestly say it's affecting when it comes to being quiet and not, putting yourself out there. But at the end of the day, I'm not that person. Like I try so hard to get out of that basket, but it also goes back to our background, like how we were brought up. To me, it feels like I'm being bossy or I'm being aggressive or I'm being, and then I was raised to be accommodating, very nice, and then be, let the men lead if you have men in the team, and then we happen to have most men in the team, then I'm always waiting to be told, like, okay, this is your work, and then this, like, it kind of affects me because I need to step up. But how do I do that? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate your vulnerability in this. And yeah, I mean, I think that one thing about our culture is that I love the African culture. And I also, it kind of goes back to how we were trained over time. That kind of becomes ingrained to wait to be told what to do. I think some of it also would be, I would say, a way for me to relate to this is I know growing up back then when I was still in school, when you know something, the thing is, oh, don't be someone who shows off. So just be quiet if you're
Mhm.
quiet and then you're asked, but then it doesn't really make any sense because if you don't see anything, the general assumption is that you don't know it. So it
Exactly.
now becomes like a very whole battle. I know when I went to study for my master's the first time, I had a very good friend who would literally push my hand up because she's like, talk this thing. Why not just say something? I just struggle to kind of talk. So I kind of relate to that as well. So maybe I'll kind of wait for Linda to share her own experience if she has one, if she has tips for us. Maybe she's the boss
No,
girl who has gotten over everything.
well, absolutely. I've had my own fair share, so yeah. But then, like, I hardly have those situations, to be honest, because I have always been like an outspoken person. I'm a no nonsense person. Like right from time, I've always been that way. But I think I've had an experience in the early days of my career. I used to always be the youngest in the room. Like I am always the youngest in the room, like when I was in Nigeria. And my first job, I was the youngest. I was so small. I served when I was 19. I was just 20. So they were all looking at me. She's so young. She's so quiet. And then my skin color would always give me up because I'm so light. So you always notice me. But then I worked in a sales environment and we always do we call it presentation, right? We have waves where we do presentations. And I listened to that presentation a couple of times and I knew, like, I'm a very, very fast learner. I knew I could do this presentation like perfectly. I knew I could do it better than these people that do this presentation. But then I never talked. I was just always sitting small, being respectful. They are all my elders and I just didn't want to be forward, and they all looked at me like, I don't think she can be a sales rep because I was a sales rep at that time. They felt like I couldn't until the first day I did the presentation and everybody was wowed. They were like, "What? Like Linda did this, Linda?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I just felt like I didn't want to be too forward and stuff. And ever since then, I kept on doing the presentation. But then, that would be like the only moment I feel like I can be quiet because I'm literally never quiet. But I'm not saying I'm loud. I'm not. But then I'm one person that like to take the lead. Like I have this leadership spirit. I always want to take the lead. I always want to do things. I always want to show my skills. So basically, and that's why I'm a writer. I like to put in my thoughts in words so that people can see. Yeah, basically that's it. I think I don't really have so much experience with being the quiet one. No, I
In
don't.
this situation, I'm the nice girl we're talking about.
So I think it's really good that we all kind of bring our blend of experiences, right? And that's the reason why we're having these very honest conversations. And I think that one thing that's usually happens once you step out, I think you wow yourself and then you also wow other people. I think one of the things I really liked about what you said, and maybe that's also going to piggyback on the next thing we're going to talk about, is there's a difference between being loud and like owning your voice, right? So there are people who are loud and then they don't have like anything. A friend of mine was we were kind of cracking a joke on something at a point, and then she was like in the hospital because she was a health personnel, and she's like the way to show people that you're busy, to be moving up and down. You're like, oh, where is the street? When you're actually not doing anything, and that's in the context of like being a loud person. So I want to ask you guys, like maybe I'm gonna throw the question first to you, Linda, like how since you're more of an assertive person or you come out directly that way, what's your advice to someone who I would say that doesn't really come naturally to, right? You're not someone who like naturally want to show off this is the way you this is, or you want to do that but you're scared to do that. Like how do you go about resolving that as an issue?
Okay, so for me, I think there's one thing you always have to keep in mind is that you're not gonna get killed for saying your mind. You're not nobody's going to beat you up, nobody's gonna do anything to you if you say your mind. So I feel like in order for you to, how do I say it? For me, it gives me peace when I know that I have said what I need to say. Or for me, trying to do things or showing my skills or volunteering gives me peace, So I feel like people should find peace in doing things. Don't do things because this society wants you to do it, or if you don't do it this way, you're never going to get there. No, do things that when you do them, you find peace. So it's okay for you to be a quiet person, to be honest. Not everybody has to be the loud ones. Like when everybody are the loud ones, there's not going to be peace in that room, right? So it's okay for you to be quiet. Don't get me wrong. Some people are extroverts, some people are introverts, which is completely okay. But then you need to understand what space you find yourself in. If you're in a work environment, you understand what the corporate space requires of you as an individual. You need to be able to meet up to these requirements, because the truth is, at the end of the day, not just the money. The money isn't just the end goal. Everybody wants to grow in their career, right? So if you know that sometimes you have to volunteer to get some responsibilities, and this is the only way when you're having a quarterly or yearly review with the HR, you're going to get considered for promotions. Please, why not? By all means, do it. Sometimes you just have to be out there in order to help yourself, not trying to conform to societal, I don't know, rules or whatever. But then it's okay for you to be quiet. Like it's okay for you to be the quiet one. You don't always have to be the loud ones. No. But then when you have to contribute, please do. Nobody's gonna kill you. Just contribute and that's it. Like you'll be fine. You'll be so fine. And just do whatever you feel comfortable doing. Don't do things that make you so uncomfortable and start feeling like, why did I say this? No, no, no. Just do things that at the end of the day you feel at peace with yourself. So you want to go to bed at night and sleep well after doing whatever you've done. So please do things that make you sleep well at night.
Yeah, I think that's very, very, these are very key tools. Yeah, you can go ahead, Ruth. Please share your thoughts. I don't want to cut
I
you short.
mean, like Linda said, you have to do it whether you like it or not. Because my experience, I've been a project manager for a year and some months, right? And my job involves speaking up. It involves speaking to people. This takes us back to public speech. You have to also learn how to speak to people. So, and when it comes to me, I'm not really like the, the loud one, but then I have to, because that is part of my job. And in corporate world, being being seen is also important as doing the job. like it's more or less the same. Like being seen is as important as doing your job. So if you're not out there, or if you don't put yourself in the spotlight, you might end up missing on the good things like promotions. They will always look for people who have put themselves out there, who are on the spotlight. They're the ones we look at, when it comes to engaging. And then, when I say engaging is volunteering here and there, that's when people get to know you. But if you keep yourself in the corner, I'm always the one in the corner, by the way. I'm trying to get out of there though, but I'm always the one in the corner. Like if you put yourself in the corner there, like no one will see you. No one is going to notice you. No one is going to see what you've done. You're going to do your things in silence and they will remain there. Like no one will see them. So I think we all need to do it, whether we like it or not. I'm also trying. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to get out of the corner. So yeah, I think being vocal or being assertive is also as good as doing your job. So I think they go hand in hand. Yeah.
That's very fantastic. And I think I really love like what I'm hearing from you guys. So I think what over the time we've had a conversation, one thing I'm picking up is that being nice or not being nice in quote, or being the nice girl or not being the nice girl is not really the major problem. It's how you deliver your job. And I love what you guys said about like understanding what the workspace demands. I think this is very, very important. Like sitting down and really analyzing, right? What is the demands of my workspace? And just as Ruth pointed out, like being seen is almost is equal to you doing your job. I know in my own personal experience, well, when I was still back in Nigeria, I was working at a particular research institute, and I would always, at first, then I would do things, and I wasn't being picked, right, to attend conferences, and I really wanted to, like, I felt I was good enough to do that, but because I was very quiet, I was very shy, I wouldn't talk, and that affected me for a while until I think I kind of broke out of that. So just really seeing that this is also part of my job. My job is not just to do a good job and then get it out of the way. It's also to ensure that I communicate the fact that I have done a very good job. I think the final thing I kind of picked up from what you guys were saying is that just be yourself and then don't overthink, right? Don't overthink. Did I say the right things? Should I have said this at the right time? Like you definitely don't want to be someone who talks all the time, but
Yeah.
then being firm and like being that person that you communicate what you I think one major rule I learned from someone, she said something. She said the first time you're invited to a table and then you don't talk, people forgive that, right? The second time is like, okay, by the third or the fourth time, they're like, you don't know anything. And then by the fifth time, your voice is no longer needed, right? You fade away. And then you attend a meeting, no one cares whether you're present or not. So every single time I try to ensure that if I'm in a meeting, even if it's one thing that I say, even if it's yeah, I think that's the right thing to say. Just ensure that you keep your voice out there and communicate what you do. So awesome. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I think we'll just take a break right now and then ask our listeners if you're enjoying this episode, be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and you can share it with someone who needs like a little encouragement today. Right. So I think that we've talked about, we've told people, hey, this is the importance of you being this is the importance of you having a voice, right? It's important for you to deliver. What are the practical steps, right, for an African woman to take a stand, right, at work? I'll start with this by sharing an example. I know that oftentimes, even within the space, for instance, for someone who's still working within the African environment, ladies are not expected to like maybe talk when the guy is talking or whatever. But what are the practical steps that for someone who is an African woman who is still in Africa, what would be the practical steps they can take to stand out, like without compromising who they are? So we're not asking introverts to be extroverts, we're not asking extroverts to be introverts, but irrespective of where you are, what practical steps can you take to stand out at work?
Okay, so I think I'll go first. So for me, one very important rule or one very important thing I would not want any girl to take away from her mind is you must always have a skill, have something to deliver. You can't, you must be able to, how do I say this now? Like, you must be able to, I'm trying to put it in the right word. I'm trying to use the right word right here. But then the point is, you should be able to people should be able to see you and see that you can deliver, like you can deliver, right? So if you're going to be working in a particular space or in a particular industry, you should go and get trainings. For example, myself, I'm in the finance industry. So many times I equip myself with trainings like data analysis. I did like an online course during the summer last year, a Harvard online course on cybersecurity. So every single time I try to equip myself with knowledge so that I have something to offer. The African space per se always have something to offer, to be honest. Like without having anything to offer, it's hard for people to hear you and see you. Your work should be able to speak for you, right? So I would say always try to equip yourself. If you need to get knowledge, please do go to school. There are free online courses. There are different websites where you can get free online courses and get skilled skilled up in whatever role that you are doing. That's the only way you can excel in that role, and that's the only way you can be seen. And then you don't have to be rude about your opinions. It's okay for you to give your opinions to any situation, right? You don't have to be rude, but then there are nicer ways and better ways to say things. So you should just find, it's not what you say. In my days as a sales representative, there's something we always say, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. So sometimes you might mean a certain thing with a certain word, but it comes out in a certain way. So you have to figure out the best way to say things, not what you say, but how do you say these things, right? So yeah, so basically those are like one of some of the fundamental things I would really like them to do, get skilled up and always say the right things in the right way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Yeah, so basically.
Saying you mentioned something like don't speak when men are speaking, like we were taught that. And that has really affected so many girl children out there because we bring in our, social, I don't know how to call them, from back home, where you actually think being loud or being assertive is labeled as being arrogant or rude. But in this context, I'll say we actually have to just put ourselves out there, say things the way they are, because in this corporate world or in this world or this generation, if you're quiet, you're not seen, right? But then on the other hand, I feel like confidence doesn't always need to be, loud. You also have to. Me, I believe in numbers. When it comes to me, I believe in numbers because, yeah, like when it comes to work, we see our performance like on numbers. So my numbers are always high, whether I'm loud or not. My numbers speak for themselves. So, but when it comes to promotions, I need to be out there. I need to put myself out there. So I always urge people to also try. I'm also trying. I'm not there yet, but try to put yourself in the spotlight because it looks like these days for you to be seen, you have to, put yourself out there. And it's a free world. Like Linda said, nobody's gonna beat you for for saying things the way they are. So it's a free world. And then also for a girl child out there, it's always important to go after your goals, your career and all that. That's the most important thing in this generation. Like have a career, have goals, you know it's not always about what we were taught when we were still young. You're going to get married after here and there and then give birth and that's it. And that's the end of the world. No, we just, we need to be ambitious. We have goals and, I feel like that needs to change. The world doesn't end at getting married and giving birth. No, there is so much out there to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I found the word I was looking for. Let your craft speak louder than your words. Like master a skill. Let your skill or your hands do the talking, not just you being loud. Let people see results. That's what people want, results, right? So no matter how nice you are, no matter how loud you are, if you don't deliver, if they don't see results, then there's no difference. Like it's all a waste, and especially African in Africa, the females are already at a disadvantage because we already have stereotypes in Africa when it comes to the female gender. And I'm not saying that because of that, it's going to be hard. Like for me, if there's anything that changed my perception about life, was a particular time when I was very sick, and the doctor asked me a question and said, if you're on your deathbed today, would you say you have achieved everything you want to achieve in life? He said, please note, when I say achieve everything you want to achieve in life, I don't mean you must have bought that mansion, bought that private jet. No, but things that were within your capacity to do, things that you could have done. Did you do them? And then I started reflecting. And that's why I felt like I had always wanted to write a book. I had always wanted to do my master's. I had always wanted to have a very big career. But was it within my capacity at that point? No. But when I got to a point where I could do it, when I got to a point where I could even write these books, when I got to a point where I could actually have a career outside of Nigeria, I could have a career as a finance analyst in a global organization, like a very big one. I'm like, come on, there's nothing you can't do when you're determined. So if you put that mindset that if I'm on my deathbed tomorrow, I will know that everything within my capacity, I was able to do them. Like I did them. I might not be there yet, but everything I could do at this point, and I could afford to do it, and I was in a position to do it, I did them, and I'm so proud of myself. So I feel like like African girls should give themselves some grace. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. We have so much pressure from social media. Be your own competition. Always strive to be better than who you were before, not someone else. Your journeys are different. Exactly. Your journeys are different. Always try to be a better version of yourself. I want to see you tomorrow and you are better than who you were yesterday, not that you are better than Naomi or you're better than someone else. Like you want to be better than yourself, not somebody else, right? So yeah, basically that's it for me. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
No, that's absolutely. Yeah, this is a conversation. I'm really enjoying it. So if you're Naomi out there, so Linda wants to be better than I'm kidding, but I think you guys I think you guys have made very fantastic points. I really love, I think, what you guys said about like having a selling point and being someone who delivers, right? Like it should be known when it comes to your workplace that if you're asked to do something, right, that no one has to, oh my gosh, I asked Ruth to do this. Is she going to get it done? I don't know. I have to, but being someone who delivers, that goes away in strengthening even your voice. Because you could be someone who talks, who's like, oh, I put myself out there, I talk a lot. And then after the meeting, there's another meeting without you there. And they're like, oh, please don't let her do this. She's not going to get it done. I think that just having what you guys said, that selling points, being a valuable person. And one thing I've always told myself, it does not matter, irrespective of where you work. Like I've had different work experiences in different countries. I've seen one thing that stands true. No one despises a valuable person, right? As long as you prove yourself to be someone of value, irrespective of your gender, irrespective of even the color of your skin, irrespective of your racial or whatever, you're going to be someone who will be highly valued. So if you're a lady out there who you're like, oh, I think I'm more of the, this kind of person who's probably not to be more assertive, just focus on getting your grind and being someone who like goes towards a particular goal, and then let that be the first communication. Your words will serve as a backup, right, to whatever action that you deliver. And that in the combination of both of them will kind of set you up to be someone who does a fantastic job. So you guys are so amazing. Like I mean, you guys are doing such a fantastic job. I think as we begin to round up, like I think I have like a question for you guys in terms of like how, and this is more going to be more of your own experience, how do you interpret like leadership for yourself previously, and how do you see it now, especially with progressing in one's career space? So we're talking about like, oh yeah, the nice girls. We're moving a little bit from that. So how do you view leadership or going up the career ladder previously, and how did you view it like 5 years ago or when you were much younger, and how do you see it now? What changed for you? And I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but if you could talk to yourself, your younger self before, right, what would you say to that person who is still at the level where they are dreaming, I want to be this person? Like, how did you translate from that to the next place where you are now? What changed for you, and what would you do better to a younger version of yourself?
Okay, so if there's anything I would say, first of all, if your environment is not helping you, change your environment. Like, if you had taken me 5 years back, sometimes they were like so many things I felt like I would never do in my life. Like, it felt so impossible. Of course, coming from where I was coming from, where I lived, it seemed like it was far fetched. I was just dreaming too much. Like, they always feel like I'm too ambitious. Even my mom at some point felt like I want too much. Like, my mom is the best person in the entire world. I love her so much. But then there was I wanted to do my master's, and I told my mom that I would never do my master's in Nigeria. Not that Nigeria doesn't have good schools, but then I wanted to be exposed. I wanted to see how life was away from where I was born and brought up. I wanted to have like opportunities to be able to. I did my BSc in international relations and foreign affairs. I always wanted to work in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I applied so many times, not that I wasn't qualified, not that I wasn't good enough, but then of course I never got the job. So I felt like, I just wanted to have a space where I could thrive for real, genuinely, and people could actually appreciate my work and the value I had to offer. And I told my mom I was never going to do my master's in Nigeria. She was always forcing me do it in a certain school in Nigeria, do it in a certain school. I was like, no, 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 no. And when I was ready to do my master's, I did my master's. I chose Poland, and then it's been one of the best decisions I have made. And my mom is so, so proud of me. Like, she's so happy. And she was saying that, hey, Linda has always been saying she will never do her master's here. And like, she's doing so well for herself, right? So I feel like for every person, there's nothing impossible for you to achieve. And that's the truth. Coming out here and seeing things for myself, I realized that sometimes your environment might be the barrier. So sometimes you have to just change environment. It doesn't mean it's not always your environment, by the way. But like I said, sometimes it could be your environment. Change your environment. And then, first of all, you have to change your mindset. I'm a gym person. I like to go to the gym all the time. And then every reps, every set, every time I go to the gym, every day I wake up in the morning, I force myself to go to the gym. It's a mental work, right? Like, I feel like I'm training my mental strength. And, it has helped me know that there are so many things I can do. Like, there's nothing impossible. Like, the word impossibility is just a word in the dictionary. Like, you can always do things, and that's like one of the things my book Against the Tide talks about. It talks about a young girl that broke different barriers that society had placed um on the female child, in a certain region, right? So I feel like there's nothing impossible for you to do. Just as much as dreaming is free, like I always say, you can dream as big. If you can't afford to dream big, I don't know what you can do else in your life. So dream as big as you can. And as a sales representative, like back then when I was a sales rep, then we always set targets that were very laughable. For example, we say we want to do $100,000 in a month. Of course, we knew that those were very laughable targets, but you see, the funny thing is that sometimes we do 110,000, $120,000. I'm telling you, sometimes we don't do up to $100,000. But the point is that because we had a benchmark, we were always striving to make sure that we get $100,000. It sounded insane, but then the day we hit that target and even like surpassed that target, it was crazy that we could do things like that. So you you would not know how much barriers you can break. You would not know how much strength you have until you set that bar higher than you can expect. And always give yourself some grace. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, you're doing so well. Don't put any form of pressure on yourself. Take it one step at a time. You would be fine. Trust me. So if I have an opportunity to talk to my younger self, I'll tell my younger self to give myself some grace. I'll be completely fine. I need to write down my plans. Like, always write down your plans. You can't, how do I say it? You can't move in life without having a plan. So you have to write it down. Where do I want to see myself in 5 years? So that you can hold yourself accountable when you're not getting to that point. You will now realize there's a problem. Okay, I said I wanted to be this at this point of my life. So what is the problem? You should be able to calculate. Like, I'm a finance analyst, we do calculations all the time. So if I'm not getting my target, I'm not reaching my goals, what is the problem? Is it my environment? Is it people I keep as friends? It's okay for you to lose friends at some point. People that are not heading in the same direction with you. So sometimes it's okay to let go. Like there's no big deal. It's okay to let go and align yourself with people that share the same vision as yourself. Because the truth is, I think that is one of the biggest lessons I had learned in my life too as well. Always having people around me that share the same vision that I share. And if you don't have those people that align with your vision, you would not move forward. You just keep being in a certain space. And so you should be able to hold yourself accountable when you know you're doing something wrong too as well. So you have to do like yearly review, check out yourself. What are you doing wrong? Am I where I want to be? What can I do better? Basically holding yourself accountable and showing yourself some grace. I feel like that's what I'll tell my younger self. Just try to hold yourself more accountable, show yourself some grace, and always write down your vision. It will help you a lot. I have a diary, very cute little. It's looking so old now. It's been here for more than 10 years. It looks so very, very old. I wish I could show you guys right now. But then when I looked at my diary and I was like, oh my God, I said I was going to do this like 10 years ago and I'm literally here right now. Like I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this is so nice to see. I always write down things in my diary, like what I want to do in 10 years. Sometimes it's okay for your vision to change. Sometimes it's okay for the plan to change, that's life, but then just put it down somewhere so you will always remind yourself that you have something to do and hold yourself accountable. Basically, that's what I have to say. I hope I answered that question.
Wow. Yeah, I think I think you answered it so very much detail. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think that it would be great for you to let us know how we can get a copy of your book when it's ready. I know that the current one is on Amazon. But we can talk more about it maybe when we wrap up. But that's really fantastic. Like having that goal, setting the goal, being someone who pushes themselves, like not settling for the status quo. That is very, 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 very important. I think you've done a great deal in summarizing that. Ruth, I don't know if you have any other tips for your younger self.
If you were to take me back like 10 years ago, right? Then I'm sorry, I'm always going to speak about the girl child because I'm here representing the girl child. I come from a conservative kind of, background, right? Where leadership is seen as a male thing, right?
Mhm.
Like where a woman who comes off as a leader is expected to have that masculine style. Like you have to be like a man to be a leader. But these days things have changed. Women are claiming spaces, women are out there doing things. Then all I knew is a woman, the only successful woman is the one with marriage, married in charge, children, and all that. I didn't know that I would actually be here with my master's degree, being a project manager here in a global company. Like I didn't see myself there, right? I didn't, because all I knew was the only thing that was taught me, like from my background, being married with children, that's successful. You're being successful as a woman. But these days things have changed, like not like how it was years ago. So I would say don't limit yourself because you feel you're a girl or you feel you're a woman. You can't be anywhere in this world. These days women are claiming spaces, women are doing things. So just push yourself, stay focused. Things are going, it's not going to be easy. It's easier said than done, but yeah, things will happen. Like just try to stay focused, have your goals, and follow them. Like follow your ambitions and all that. You get there.
Mm. I don't know. Do you guys want to add any other thing else, or?
Maybe for them not to quote me wrong, I don't say marriage is a bad
Yeah, I
thing.
was really.
No,
No,
I
no, I
say you
think I
can
was
have
going to
both. You can
I
have
was going to
both.
address that. But you
Yeah,
can
I don't mean marriage is bad. I don't mean having children is bad. No, you can still be married and be successful as a woman. You can have your career and then be a good wife. So you cannot be, only thinking about marriage. You can have both. You can have both. I
Mhm.
don't say marriage is a bad thing. No, no, no. I want to be married with children. But but again, I need my career in place. Like
Mhm.
you can have both. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But also you have to speak more. Ask for that promotion. Don't be quiet. Don't be in the corner like me. Do better.
Uh,
Do better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to
yeah.
also add what Ruth said, see, you can have it all. Trust me, you can have the life,
Mm,
you can have the career, you can have the family, you can have the kids, you can have a beautiful relationship. It's very possible. Like you need to be able to. That's why I said like don't be deceived by social media and all of that. Like you can look up people that have had all of this. Like they've had a career. You need to draw.
Successful marriages and then successful
Exactly.
careers. So
Exactly. So I think you need to draw inspirations from the right people, not people that make you feel like, oh, you can have it all. Or if you're successful as a girl, you can have a beautiful family. Oh, yeah, a lot of people. Even your parents should be an example. My mom and my dad is an example. My mom was a senior marketer in a bank. My dad too was a chartered accountant, and they had a beautiful marriage. I'm here. I'm a product of that. So it's possible to have both. Trust me, you can have the both worlds. Just don't dim your light.
yeah,
Don't dim your light to have one. You can
yeah,
have both.
exactly. That was
So
my point.
exactly, don't dim your light. You can have the both of them. Just be who you are. If dream as much as you want to dream, take leadership positions if you want to. We need to change the stereotypes that women can't lead. Of course, we're here where women are like CEOs and all of
Yeah, we
that.
can be both in the
Yeah,
kitchen and both in the office.
of course,
Okay.
and you can do so well, 100% in both. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a Christian as well, and I'm a very strong believer, and I know that I understand how important family is to me. So I feel like I can
mm.
thrive in both worlds as a career person and also as a wife. Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
I want both.
Yeah.
Mm, that's amazing. And trust me, Ruth, I definitely get what you both have said, and Linda as well. Like, I think that one of the key things that was a drive for me was I hated it when people presented certain things as a choice for women, right? So you're either going to be someone who has a good career, as you guys have said, or you're going to be someone who has a very good family. And I'm like, no, why do I have to choose, right? Like I want both of them. And I hate it so like I hate it so much when things are presented as a choice for women, right? Like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can only do this, but you can't do this other thing. You can only be this person, but you can't be this other person. I'm like, no. And I think also this goes to one thing that Ruth said while she was talking about, like before women were taught that leadership, for you to be a leader, you have to become like more masculine. And no, you can maintain your femininity and still be a leader. Like you don't have to
Exactly.
trade these things to be someone else. So the story out there is either that you have to choose or you have to be a certain kind of person, but you are amazing as you are as a woman. You just have to like lean into your strength, like Linda said, like what are my strengths? And this goes back to what you said about like having a diary where you really reflect like what are my strengths? How do I play into my strengths? Right. I think I'm someone who is compassionate. I care about people. And I see how like that could be, or some people oftentimes can interpret that as a weakness, but rather than see it as that, I decided to lean on it as a strength for leadership, right? I will show you that I care about you. And I've seen how that has translated to people even working because they see how much you care, like not just for them to deliver a job, but really, are you fine as a person? So that's, and I feel like an example of leaning into a strength that you have, right? Rather than like seeing it, oh my God, I don't want to have to be this person, this girl who doesn't care about people or whatever. Like, that's not what we're saying. So it's good. We're saying, please, you can be married, you can have a beautiful family, you can have beautiful children, and you can still be at the peak of your career, right? So
Yeah.
get good inspiration from different people, from people that are amazing. Look at Linda and Ruth, for instance. You can get inspiration from them. But really, we hope that this has inspired you to not be forced to make a choice that society wants you to make, to choose between living a good life or the best life that God has for you. And you should always choose the best life. All right. Thank you very much. I think you guys have done a fantastic job. We've had very interesting conversations. From ranging from, not being someone who just accepts a particular stereotype of what success looks like. That shouldn't be something that any lady should like just take what is the societal definition of success, take that and like run with it, have that definition. For instance, I'm a Christian and I think I draw a lot of inspiration from my relationship with God. So let him define what success looks like for me rather than what society believes success is as a lady. And don't be someone who kind of restricts themselves. That's the thing that we've talked about. And irrespective, I think one of the key things I really love about what we've talked about today is irrespective of where you fall on the spectrum, there is nothing wrong with being a nice girl in quotes. There is nothing wrong with being someone who is a kind person, but be someone who is valuable. Identify your key selling points, be someone who delivers consistently, and then add your voice to it. That shouldn't change who you are, but add your voice, communicate what you've done, who you are, and be someone who is always ready to share readily who they are, what they've done, and where they're going to. So it's been a very good conversation today. So thank you so much, Ruth and Linda. I know you guys said it's your first time, but I think you guys are really good at this. You guys should probably start your own podcast. But this was a very empowering conversation. And to our listeners, thank you. We hope you picked one or two things, and don't ever feel like your kindness or being a certain kind of person should cost you an opportunity at work. And if you're someone who feels like that has happened, you can feel free to share. And being kind doesn't mean that you're invincible. Your voice, your ideas, and your presence should matter. And that should translate into your work itself and you being able to communicate what you've done. You don't have to always be the person who talks all the time, but these two things, if there are two things we want you to get out of this podcast, right? First of all, do a very good job. Secondly, be someone who's ready to communicate the fact that you've done that job excellently. And then let the numbers speak for themselves, as Ruth has said. So stay tuned for our next episode. And yeah, we're pretty excited. And thank you very much.